This video is the first in a series of Q&A sessions that I'm putting together that over time will help to create a valuable resource for all bass guitarists, helping them to recognize and treat problems that they're experiencing firsthand. From the deluge of questions provided by a wide range of bass guitarists, I've only chosen those questions that are most commonly asked. These topics will include ear training, fingerboard familiarity, harmony, improvisation, theory, reading, technique, grooves, gear, and the list goes on and on. In answering these questions, I'd like to provide a prognosis and then prescribe some treatment that lays out a few simple steps that can be followed, helping to cure the problem. This approach will also help to weed out bad advice that can be found and heard all over the internet, where people are answering questions like, how can I develop some ideas to improvise over a B-flat 7th chord, by answering, hey dude, just play from your heart and you'll be fine. Hopefully some of these questions will resonate with you and you'll start to be able to recognize some of the same problems within your own playing. Once you can identify the deficiency that you're experiencing, you can start to use the forecasts and treatments given here to make positive step-by-step progress, curing the problems at hand. Today's question comes from Mervyn Georges. I'm struggling with learning to play the bass lines that I hear in songs and would appreciate any tips. My question relates to ear training. Considering a bass line is primarily made up of notes that outline the chords of a song, how do I learn to recognize the chord progression that's occurring? I've heard that trying to learn a bass line note by note is a tedious process and not the best way, but instead it's better to focus on learning the chord progression of the song, but no one ever says how this is done. Well, historically, bass players find it difficult to hear chords being played simultaneously while at the same time being able to distinguish between the various chord qualities. As single note line players, bass players are not generally connected with chordal instruments and as a result find it hard to hear and identify chord progressions. A great place to start is by learning to hear the root motion of the chord progression, which are the roots of the chords outlined within the bass part. If you're having trouble distinguishing what the root notes are, then stick your track into a software program like Transcribe or the Amazing Slowdowner and transpose the pitch up an octave. Sometimes the lower pitches of a bass part can become muddled within a track, and by transposing the whole track up an octave, these root notes just kind of pop out at you. Step 2 is to transcribe the melody of the tune and then start practicing playing the roots of the chords while adding the melodic notes on top. Playing both the root and the melody together forms what is called double stops. This is super important because in many tunes, a large part of the melody will be chord tones that support the overall harmonic structure of the tune. So the next step involves being able to hear the difference between major and minor, and a good place to start with this is triads. Go ahead and play a major triad, and while the chord is sustaining, sing the root, the third, and the fifth both up and down the chord. You only need to do this in one key, so find your comfortable vocal range and then sing the chord tones either using solfege syllables or numbers. One crucial point here is for this to really work, you need to repeat this process on a daily basis. From there, you need to focus on common diatonic chord progressions in both major and minor key areas, while eventually graduating to the more complicated 7th chords. This is going to consist of 2-5-1 progressions along with diatonic substitutions. Once you feel comfortable isolating both major and minor harmonic progressions, you'll need to start combining major and minor together. This is known as modal interchange. Past this phase, you'll need to be able to start integrating non-diatonic harmony along with diatonic harmony. Now, I know this sounds like a lot, and actually it is, but the journey of 1,000 miles has to begin with a single step. It must be said that if you don't have my book, Functional Harmonic Concepts, then you really need to get this book now. I cover all these topics and more. Plus, this book comes with MP3 audio tracks that'll provide you with ear training exercises for many of the concepts covered. And this is vitally important because you're really going to need to recognize these sounds way before you sit down to transcribe them. I'd also like to encourage you to start learning how to play the piano or the guitar as a means of making the connection with a chordal instrument, and this is primarily for ear training reasons. If you're interested in becoming a better improvising bass player and learning great musical content from arpeggios to grooves, then subscribe to my channel now. If you like this lesson today, then be sure to support my channel by giving it a big thumbs up. Until next time, practice smart, work hard, and play creatively.